Okay, let's get started. This is Ramanuj from 𝗨𝗂𝗂. Thank you everyone for joining me. Uh, Please excuse me, I'm not very well today, but I will do my best to make sure this workshop is successful. Um, I am Ramanuj Mukherjee. I'm founder and CEO, co-founder and CEO of 𝗨𝗂𝗂. We have 𝗵𝗿𝗃 with me. 𝗵𝗿𝗃 is my
Hi
co-founder.
everyone.
And he's the CEO of 𝗨𝗂𝗂. We both started 𝗨𝗂𝗂 together, and we both went to college together at NUJS. We graduated in 2011, started working in a law firm in trilegal for a brief while, and then we left and started 𝗫𝗍𝗔 and eventually 𝗨𝗂𝗂. And thank you all of you for joining us today. I am sure that you're going to find today's topic very interesting. It would be great if you can just introduce yourself in the chat. Tell me who are you and what do you do? Where are you logging in from? By the way, I am logging in from Ukraine and 𝗵𝗿𝗃 is in Delhi. Tell us, where are you logging in from? Right. Hi, there's Hitesh, Jai, Kishan. So good to see all of you. I'm going to open. Okay, so please introduce yourselves, everyone, quickly. Yeah, I see a lot of people here. Please introduce yourselves. J.K. Mishra, Sudhanshu Kumar. So are you guys lawyers? Are you entrepreneur, businessman? What do you do? Please introduce yourselves quickly. 𝗵𝗿𝗃, please start a poll on asking people what they do also.
Don't know how to do that.
Yes, polling, you can see the next to share screen, click on it, create a poll.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's not on my window. It is. I will clear. I'll do it.
All right. So let's start with today's presentation. Okay. Which countries are most attractive for Indian companies for international expansion? We'll also talk about incentives for international expansion and market entry in other countries. We are going to talk about the work that is also there, and we are going to talk about how to make the choice, how to choose one country or another, what kind of consideration, commercial as well as legal and regulatory, goes into such things, right? So this is every Indian company's dream, right? That they want to expand into other geographies, expand into other markets. And, it is generally across the globe, this is true, that companies which are exporting are usually more competitive. They have more stability, they have more market share, they have access to better talent, they have access to more, because they are operating across different boundaries. They see more, they learn more, and they have better playbooks to implement. So this is every Indian company's dream anyway, right? Expanding to foreign markets with higher margins. So everybody would like to earn more money, get access to a bigger market. Especially, the thing is that India is one of the cheapest countries in the world. I'll come to that in a bit. And so the price you can charge in India is limited. And expanding to foreign markets usually results in higher margins for businesses. So I will give an example, just to, as a matter of example. Let's say 𝗨𝗂𝗂. 𝗨𝗂𝗂 is a edutech business. It's in legal domain. We give people legal training on practical aspects. We teach people how to draft contracts, how to interpret laws, how to do compliance, and we have different courses in we have 80 different courses in different practice areas, right? So now we are definitely the leader in our own space in India. And now let's say we want to do an international expansion, right? So which country should we choose, or which country should we go to first, right? What do you guys think? Those people who are there in the chat, what do you think? What comes to your mind when I say this? That, okay, let's say you are our advisor, right? And I ask you that what to do, right? So how will we do it? Hong Kong, it's a tax-free country. Okay, so tax-free is a cool. That is one of the things. What else? So we are going to talk about these things today. Or what else apart from Hong Kong? What else will you see? What else will you say? Is a Singapore, okay. United Arab Emirates, okay. Anything else? Okay. Why not US? Why not UK?
So what is the reason for your advice, all of you?
What is the reason? Why are you saying one thing over another? Let's say.
See, if we accept your decision and suppose we go ahead and expand to that country, then what are the risks we would face? Like we need to understand, right? We will make investments based on that. So we need to know that. Okay, China for cheap labor. Ashok, do you think that it'll only be about the legal system being similar? Would an entrepreneur think about it like that? They are anyway not very comfortable with Indian legal system in the first place. So would they think like, yeah, other common law countries will have a similar system, so I should go there?
No, he might be meaning that the courses we teach will be similar in common law countries, which makes sense. Okay. English language is definitely important, right? So even in a country, if I can't understand, like these days I am in countries which are in Russian-speaking countries. I'm in Ukraine, or let's say in Africa. If you don't understand the language, that may be a big barrier for doing business. But so there are many factors, right? So what are these factors? We're going to discuss these things today. So let me explain the economics and the dilemma involved in this, right? Let's say we are selling a contract drafting course in India. What are the incentives first? Let's talk about that. So let's say we are selling a contract drafting course in India for INR 30,000. This is for simplicity's sake. We're just saying, right? So people are buying, but now in reality, we can see that people are coming and buying these courses from UK, USA, Middle East, Australia, China, Africa. 10% of our sales is happening from other countries like this. Although we do not target these countries at all, right? It's not like we are going and trying to sell it to other countries. We are trying to sell it to Indians, and we don't even have any ads outside of India. Although it is possible to run ads, we are not doing it, right? But people are still coming and buying on their own. Why is this happening? Whitehead Junior, for example, started selling their courses in the US. They are running ads in the US. They're selling in India. They realized we can sell these same courses in US and in Canada and in Australia. Why don't we run ads in those jurisdictions also? And it is not like they went and set up in the US. They were doing it from India itself, right? It's not necessary that every time you want to sell in another country, you have to actually be present there. So you can sell a product digitally in another country, right? It is not necessary that you have to go and set up there. At least in the beginning, you don't have to go set up there. Okay. So foreign customers are finding us in 𝗨𝗂𝗂𝗍 case online somehow. They may be Googling, or they're checking whatever is available. And maybe some friend has told them, maybe they have found it on some group or something, that somehow they find us and they're buying on their own, out of their own interest, right? So we asked them why they buy. We asked them that, we're teaching Indian law. Why are you buying? It is clear that there is they say that, yeah, I know you're teaching Indian law, but 80% things are similar. Or, maybe someone is saying, no, even this much is useful. Or sometimes the fact that, the course, they're getting so many benefits and it is so cheap for them. If say someone is in the US, for them 30,000 rupees is how many dollars? It's like $500, I think. Okay, less than $500. So for them it is $400. So it is very, very cheap for them to buy. They don't have to think too much before buying. We have had so that becomes a very powerful proposition for them. Now they are buying. So we can see that there is a demand for this. We can get into a bigger market by by going into other countries. But what is even more exciting is that we can charge a lot more, and anyone who's setting up in other countries, usually because India is such a low cost country, when you are going into other geographies, you have a ability to charge a higher price and you can have a lot more margin. Okay. And why does this happen? It happens because of purchasing power parity. Okay. So just you can understand, even within India, is rent same everywhere? Is the rent in Bombay and Delhi the same? Is the rent in Jaipur the same as Bombay? Okay, it's not, right? So everywhere the rent is different, nor is the cost of food, even although you'll think that why should rice cost different in Punjab and in Bengal and in Kerala or in Delhi, right? But it is not. Things wildly differ, the cost, living costs wildly differ. So similarly, and it is definitely like that internationally, right? Courses or anything else, any e-com, you are selling something on e-commerce, you are selling a service, legal service, everything, even a service of lawyer is not equally priced, in India and in USA. In USA, the lawyers charge a lot more than any Indian lawyer, right? So this is a very important factor. Things are priced differently, and India is one of the cheapest countries in the world. Have you ever thought why India is so cheap? By the way, there was a survey done, okay, in a few years back, and it was found that India was found to be second cheapest, right after South Africa. Okay. Have you ever wondered why is India such a country where things are so cheap, so inexpensive compared to the rest of the world? I mean, it's a good thing for us in a way, but why is that? Have you ever thought? Anybody? Any thoughts on this? Let me see what you guys can say. Basic needs are food, but then basic needs are same across the world. Why is it cheaper in India? Okay, so primarily it is because because of population. No, actually you can say so, but real reason is that it is because of availability of cheap labor. India is a country where people are available, the salaries are very low. It's one of the cheapest countries to hire any labor. Okay, so and in a very high number of our population, almost 50%, are engaged in subsistence agriculture, which is a very inefficient thing. Okay, farmer based country, you actually, that is the problem, that 50%, 10% of the economy is agriculture, but 50% people are working in that. Okay, so they are basically earning almost nothing. So for them, so basically what is happening is that some of those people are learning other skills, maybe their second generation is learning or whatever. Some people are converting into other professions, right? But because of this, the overall price of things are very low, because those people are available for most things to work at a very low cost. And because of this, India is one of the cheapest countries in the world. Okay, this will not change overnight, it may take a long time to change. But because this is blessing in one way, right? When you are trying to do international business, it is a blessing. And but that is why Indian companies also find it very beneficial to do international business, right? Just to give a comparison, US is 17 times more expensive than India as per World Bank data, according to purchasing power parity, right? 17 times. It's not like everything is 17 times more expensive. Something may be only double expensive, something may be 100 times more expensive. Okay, but overall as an economy, it was fine that things are 17 times more expensive. 17, that's a lot. So Dubai is a lot more expensive too. I don't know how much more expensive, I haven't checked the number, but even Dubai is much more expensive. China is also much more expensive, right? So everywhere it is much more expensive, right? So we were actually doing some market research into Dubai, last year just before lockdown, and we are trying to see, does it make, we are thinking that, should we launch a Dubai specific course, for example, right? Because selling an Indian course in Dubai and US does not make sense. I mean, if you're going to target specifically, then we have to make something which is suitable for the local market, which addresses the local concerns, which is relevant for the local populace, right? Whoever is the target market, it needs to be, we have to take care of Dubai laws, local scenarios. We have to understand the problems in Dubai, and then only we can sell. So that is also a challenge. If you're going to sell something in another country, you need a relevant product, right? Most importantly, however, the ticket size and margins are likely to be much better than it is there in India. Okay, because if you see anything comparable, they are much more expensive, right? And people's generally things are more expensive, so you can sell in India sell in Dubai at a much higher price than you sell it in India. But so how should we go about it? Should we go and set up in Dubai? Should we try to operate from India itself, right? So how should we go about it? What do you guys think? Just try to, I'm just think of it like a problem. Like, how do you solve it? Imagine that we have come to you and you are our advisor and we are asking you, so or maybe you are the CEO of 𝗨𝘂. How will you make the decision that, okay, should we go set up a company in Dubai? Should we set it up? Or why Dubai? Why not Singapore? Why not UK? Why not USA? Why not Australia? Why not Japan? I don't know. Why not China? Right? So how will you make these decisions? One is through direct export initially, right? So Sriram is saying that we should initially not go set up there, but directly export it from India. What are the pros and cons of that? So we'll look into all those things today, right? From India, we can sell products in Dubai and deliver from India, right? That is also possible. So do we have to set up a local entity? Okay, can we do it from India itself, right? You have to realize that in case, because we are doing online education, it may be possible to be done from India, but there will be certain things, like for example, we provide hard copy study material. Now, if we have to, the shipping cost from India to Dubai may be prohibitively high, right? So these kind of problems may be there. So at what point, so let's say you are saying that we start doing it from India and we export from India. At what point, if at all, it will be sensible to set up a local entity in Dubai rather than doing it from India, right? This is also a question. 𝗂𝗵𝗵 voice is inaudible. Can you guys hear me? If you can all hear me, right? Yes, audible in the chat, so I know that you can hear me.
You can increase your device audio. Sorry, you can increase your volume. Check the volume on your phone or computer, and also if you're on device audio.
If he cannot hear, he cannot hear. He has to. He is probably logging in from mobile on the left hand at the bottom.
I'll write it.
He has to click on connect to internet audio. Then he'll be able to. So somebody just write it in the chat and explain to him how to connect to internet audio so he can use it, and then he'll be able to hear us. Okay. So great. Thank you, Gaurav, also for letting me know. Okay. So at what point do you think it will make sense to set up a local entity in Dubai for us, right? Or in any other country, in Singapore, wherever, right? Should we start at a different market first, right? So why not USA or UK to start with? I mean, USA is a bigger market, UK is a bigger market, the economy is much bigger, right? So should we go and start it from there? Why not? Why start from Dubai? Dubai is a smaller economy, much smaller economy. Why not start in USA or UK, right? Any thoughts on that? Anybody? Please think about. These are the questions that businesses really have to deal with, right? These questions will be there with every company which is doing well in a domestic market and has found a product market fit. You have to realize that there has to be a product market fit. Do you guys know what is the product market fit? What is the product market fit? What is the product market fit? Any of you know what is the product market fit? So I'll tell you what is a product market fit. It's like when you are building a business, right? You first need a product or a service, and you don't know whether there is demand for this in the market. Truly, you might think that, okay, I should, I should buy, I should make a product like this, like that. Okay, I should make a service like this, providing this business model, all of that. Now, these are all hypotheses. When you try to actually do it in the market, you will come to know whether the market is accepting it or not. Is there enough demand in the market? So when you hit a product market fit, then you can see people coming and buying it on their own, right? It's not like they will say, no, one second. It is not like they will say, I want to, I mean, you'll see traction. Basically, you will see that there is a clear demand for what you are making in the market, and this is not easy to hit. When you are hitting this market, from there the building the company becomes easier, in fact, because there is a demand, people are using it, they're liking it, they're talking about this to their friends. So it's very good. Like when you hit product market fit, things start getting. Many startups fail because they cannot reach a product market fit. They build a product which the market do not want, and this is a huge risk, right? So it makes sense to do international expansion only after product market fit. Before that, it makes no sense, right? Imagine now also you have to see whether the product market fit exists in the new country or not, right? So for example, in case of legal education, some things have a huge demand in India. For example, there is income tax law in India. In Dubai, there is no income tax law. There is a VAT, but it is very simple. Now, if I want to sell a tax law course in Dubai, how well it sell is highly questionable, because tax law may not have that much demand over there. Okay, but in India, for example, but Dubai is a very good market for arbitration. There is a lot. It's a hub of global arbitration. A lot of arbitration happening there. So there may be a superior market for arbitration. Labor law is not such a great market in India. In labor, how many people want to do labor and employment law in India? Very few. But labor and employment law is very big in Dubai, right? So there are differences in markets. So what is a very good product here may not be that good a product over there. There are cultural differences, economic differences, business differences. There are a lot of differences. So again, before you do something, even if you have a product market fit in India for your product, when you are trying to get into the Dubai market, you have to see if there is an actual product market fit or not. It may not be there. Okay, so this is a big headache. So basically, this is the whole idea, that the lure, the attraction is that what if you can sell whatever you are selling in India in countries with more advanced economies where prices are generally much higher. This is arbitrage. This is called arbitrage, cost arbitrage. You benefit from low input costs in India while selling at higher prices in the US, UK, Middle East, Europe, etc. Right? This is how China became a manufacturing giant, right? Because in China, the labor cost is low, and they have built a very good manufacturing ecosystem. Nobody can compete with China in pricing in most manufacturing, right? And then they are selling it across the world and benefiting from the difference in prices. And this is how China became a manufacturing giant. This is how also TCS became the biggest Indian company, right? What is the company, the biggest Indian company in terms of head counts, in terms of the largest stock, market cap? It is TCS, right? TCS is the largest company with the biggest market cap. Now, how did this happen? It happened because of the same reason. Indian engineers providing services to US companies. They are US company. If all of it had to be done in US, it would be very expensive. But TCS, Infosys, all these companies figured out that how to benefit from the low input cost in India, but get clients and customers in the US, in Europe, in Middle East, all over the world, in expensive markets, but benefiting from Indian talent, right? This is how companies like Zoho or Freshworks have become, a very big billion-dollar companies. They are dominating in software as a service business, right? So earlier there were these service companies. Now we have software product companies from India, which are benefiting from the exact same thing, that input costs are low, right? Low labor costs in India, low, you have to pay less salaries to Indians in India, but you get to sell this abroad, and this is a huge advantage.
You all
So
are
this is
familiar with these names? No, just 1 second. You all are familiar with these names? Just say yes if you are. With Freshworks, with Zoho. Okay.
Why don't we do this? Can you give us some examples of companies which are benefiting this way, and they are very successful Indian companies who are doing very successfully across the world? Can you give examples of such companies? Give me some examples of such companies from India. 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗶, very good. Any other company you can think of? Abhida, have you done the poll?
Poll is not working from here. I don't have the option.
What are you talking about?
I'll give you host again. If you can see it from there,
I will create it myself.
I have to make you host for that?
No, there's nothing to do with hosts here.
Okay.
Let me just set this up so I can understand who are here today. Okay, you guys can see the poll. All of you can see the poll, hopefully by now. Yeah. Okay. 𝗂𝗂 is a very good example. Piyush has given example of 𝗂𝗂. 𝗂𝗂 is a company which has, I don't know how much they are benefiting from Indian input costs because they are present in those geographies. But yeah, I'm sure some part of their global operations can be done from India. So they will also be benefiting from this. Wipro, sure. But any other startups? What about modern day digital tech companies which are expanding abroad? Can you think of some names for that? 𝗂𝗏𝗴, good. Anybody else? No other names comes to mind. So this is not a new playbook. Zomato, very good, right? So 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗀, great. So this is not a new playbook. It has been the dream of Indian entrepreneurs, right? However, some things have changed after the pandemic. A perfect storm has kind of got created. And why is that? Because of remote work, because of a few other things. Also in India, let me explain actually what is actually going on, right? One is that India is no more a mere outsourcing destination, right? We have a large number of technology companies that are creating their own products, right? Unlike TCS, Infosys, which were already only providing services to other companies, now we have people who are actually building products, right? So they are selling to consumers in India already. Many of these examples you gave, 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, Urban Company, 𝗂𝗂, Ola, Zomato, all these people, they started by selling in India and they did well in India. Then they said, okay, now let us expand to London, let us expand to Dubai, let us expand to Southeast Asia, all of that, right? So why is this happening? These Indian companies started by focusing on Indian consumers, catering to the local needs of businesses and consumers for cheaper software, right? Because Indian people, what is the mentality? There is Slack and there is also an Indian version of Slack. I don't remember the name of it. I think Flock. Okay. So now people who want to use Slack, they realize that, oh, there is a Slack is say $20 per user or $10 per user per year, right? Then they realize, oh, there is Flock which is charging $3 per user. So it has the same functionalities, but it is much cheaper, right? 70% cheaper. So the Indian companies will all go and buy that because it is a cheaper alternative. So that is how a lot of Indian startups and software companies, they were created to provide cheaper alternative to local businesses and consumers, right? Now they are poised to sell globally because as their products are mature and they have achieved local success, they might have better capital also now. So, and they have proven their business model. They can raise finance from venture capitalists, private equity companies. Now they can expand. And this is not just software. This is also true for healthcare, hospitals, or health, hotels, or anywhere, like, digital media, online marketing, global drop shipping infrastructure. This is very important for fulfillment infrastructure, right? Drop shipping, fulfillment infrastructure, logistic chains for global e-commerce. These things have made it very easy to sell your product anywhere in the world, right? High cost of software is a bane for global businesses and consumers during this pandemic. So what happened during the pandemic is that everyone got hit in some way or the other, and people are looking for ways to cut costs, and high software cost is one of the factors, right? Or high, any cost is high, it's a problem. So everyone is looking for cheaper alternative, which gives Indian businesses an advantage because our input costs are lower. Like I said, apart from South Africa, we are the lowest, the cheapest country. It is, everything is much cheaper in India, and that means that we have a huge advantage in this kind of environment. When the entire world is suffering from pandemic and they want to cut costs, then Indian businesses have an advantage globally. Indian companies are also facing sad setbacks in their local market within India thanks to the pandemic, forcing them to look outside for larger markets, right? Indian businesses that sold digital products to international clients found it easier to survive the lockdown and have in fact grown faster during this time, right? There are many examples, all of them people who have been selling outside. In many cases, many companies would have shut down, but only because they had a global business, they had international business, they managed to stay afloat, they managed to do better, in fact grew also. Selling internationally does not only mean higher margins or a larger market to tap, it also brings more competitiveness, diversification, stability, right? So imagine you are only operating in India and there is a lockdown. So then you might be very badly hit but let's say you are operating in 4 different markets. So even if there is lockdown in one place, the other place is not in lockdown. So you might be able to operate and you may not completely go out of business. So it's a diversification in some ways, right? Then there is a huge factor that a lot of foreign jurisdictions are low tax compared to India, and selling digital products in such countries can unlock tremendous profitability for Indian companies that are paying higher taxes at home, right? So it's simply a cash flow issue. You can understand. Let's say I sell product, say I make a profit of 100 rupees. Now, if I have to pay 30 rupees tax or 50 rupees tax, which may be the case in India, then I can reinvest only 50 rupees in my business, right? Or whatever, like I have only 50 rupees to work with. But now imagine in another country, there is zero income tax. So then all of my profit is available for me to reinvest in the company. So this is a huge factor. So you can basically, in such low tax jurisdictions, as a startup, you can grow faster than you can grow in India. As it is often said, it is easier to earn $1 than earning a rupee, okay, for multiple reasons. This is fast becoming the mantra of Indian CEOs. So a lot of Indian companies are realizing that it is a very good idea to expand internationally. It is, if you're not doing it, you are missing out on a very big opportunity. So everybody wants to expand internationally. It is better for their business. So are you guys with me till now? If you understood everything till now, say yes. If you have a question, you can post the question right now. So we'll move to the next step now. Okay, the next question is where. We'll get to that, but whatever we discussed so far, is it clear? All concepts clear? Anything you want to explain again, you can ask. Okay, Abhyuday, will you take the next stage?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm here to explain.
Yeah, I'll screen share.
Mhm.
Hi everyone. So the question now is that where do you want to expand to? Just putting pin here. Which markets do you want to start with? That's a question, right? That is it. Which is the first one to go to? Because if you burn out, you choose the wrong market, and that that can completely blow the business up, not only abroad but in India also. You will have to start with making an investment abroad if you are actually setting up, let's say, a sales office in maybe a Dubai or Africa or Singapore. So what factors do you need to take into account before you make up your mind? Right now, some of you were saying that India has you can choose a common law country, first start with selling directly from India over there and then serve from India. But question is, now that you've decided, acha, some sales you've done abroad, now you want to go all out into the market. What should I take into account when I make my choice of country? Do you all want to take some guesses? Think of, if you are advising us, okay, now you tell us again. We visited this question earlier, but what would you want us to take into account? We gave you one example of tax. What else would you want us to take into account? And imagine, like us, you could advise anyone. Many other companies, many other startup founders would want this kind of advice.
And there
Demand.
is a lot of it, right? It's not just taxes, a lot of factors. I'll just give you an example so that you don't get stuck with taxes only. For example, let's say you have intellectual property which is very valuable. Let's say it is copyrighted material, or it is a trademark, or it is patent. Now, if you go to a country where intellectual property enforcement is very weak, your intellectual property may get stolen, right? For example, in China, trademark enforcement is good, but patent enforcement is very bad. You may not want to go to China for that one reason alone, right? You may not want to enter the China market. Yeah. And there may be a country with very low tax, but maybe there the political system is unstable. There may be some military coup or something, and new government every other day, changing policies frequently. Do you want to operate in such a market? Do you want to risk your capital by investing in such a country where tomorrow they might come and say that we don't want any foreign businesses, we are taking over foreign businesses, right? That may also happen. For all, you don't know what can happen in an unstable country. So multiple factors are there. So anyway,
Yeah.
Abhyuday, let's move on with the factors. But you guys guess what those factors are, and then we'll tell you. So there are two basic factors. Abhyuday, you can explain the first two factors.
Capital requirements, number one. So this is about, one is, what is the exchange control regime, if any? Exchange control means that, okay, if I am going to put up an office there, okay, what will happen? Do you incorporate the company over there, or do you just have your sales office? How do you take in the foreign exchange over there? Is there some central bank control over there? Will they ask you to take some permissions? Okay, if you are incorporating, then what is the minimum capital you need to start a company with? You will also take into account things like rent cost, because you'll infuse the company with that kind of capital so that it can meet its expenses. Okay. Then second is management bandwidth. So management bandwidth will determine, like, if you are having, let's say, presence in Dubai or Singapore. Now, would your Indian CEO, Indian directors, would they be going there? Who would you nominate to be the managers there? Okay, to be the directors of the company over there.
So actually, I'll tell you the biggest problem here is that if you want to expand abroad, right, why not expand everywhere? What is the problem? There are two main restrictions you have. Like there are two main limitations we have. One is capital. Nobody has unlimited capital. Capital is limited, right? And the second thing is management bandwidth. You cannot, I mean, how many people you have in your company you can rely on. So if you open too many markets at once, if you enter into 10 different markets at once, or in a market which is very difficult, very complicated to crack, then you might be using up your management bandwidth and not have enough. You might fail because there was not enough capital or not enough management bandwidth. So this is the primary problem. And to avoid this, uh, you know you might want to see that how much capital do you have and how much management bandwidth you have. And this is one reason why people target smaller countries to start with, or smaller markets, right? US may be a very lucrative market, but it's a very big market. There may be many big competitors there. There may be very strict laws, or cost of operating may be too high, or or multiple problems are there, right? So you have to think that which market is easy to handle for me right now. So this is the main point of view. Proceed, please go on.
Yeah. So from that perspective, a smaller and lucrative market, what could some of the bets be? For example, Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong would appear very attractive. Why? Because of the higher margin in other countries, a lot of startups focus on international markets rather than Indian market altogether. So why higher margin? Because we explained, right, that you can charge more because purchasing power parity is different. Like food will cost differently here as compared to abroad. So if you're selling abroad, you can charge a lot more. That increases the margin, the profit margin that an Indian company has if the product or the service is delivered from India. Okay. So a lot of startups focus on these international markets rather than exclusively on the Indian market. Why? Because in the Indian market, capacity of the customer also to pay is limited. They will also negotiate. So your margins will have to be very thin. So they start their international quest early. Sometimes so it's not like they'll think, pehle let's saturate the Indian market. No, because margins abroad are higher. So they will simultaneously explore international market also. Only problem with this approach is this, that with Indian market you are more familiar with, and with international market you may not be so familiar with. For example, when Byju's acquired White Hat Junior and launched some products abroad, the difference in US, they launched products in US. The difference there was that in India, people are used to paying a lot for the children's education. In US, there is less willingness to spend for parents on their kids' education through private courses, and they're already spending so much money for private education or to state schools, and they are not so inclined to spend. So these are the new kinds of challenges that arise.
Yeah, but there are companies that have been built out of India entirely for foreign market, not at all for Indian market. Indian company, but focused entirely on foreign market. Tutor Vista is an example of that.
Yeah.
There are more examples, but anyway, so we can move to the next point.
So small differences can have a massive impact. Like one thing changing, one customer preference or one factor changing changes the whole game. So what is the method? What is the modus operandi for international expansion? It is not necessary for digital businesses to set up a company or a physical office in a target market. As you all were saying, right? India se karo, we can do it from India, we can ship it from India, we can serve from India, we can have people in India who are there delivering a digital product, digital service, as long as it is not physical. Otherwise, your shipping costs you'll have to take into account. Okay. And if you're shipping from India to a market like US, that can be very high. All you have to do is then if you have digital products, to build digital products that are locally relevant and sell them through digital marketing. That is very doable. You can do digital marketing through Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google Ads, which targets a particular audience in a particular country.
This is in the beginning though. This is in the beginning. There would be a point where you would want to move, and I'll tell you why. Go on, Abhi.
Now, before being aggressive about any market, you have to, as you start small, you have to focus on getting the product market fit right. Right. So now for example, before you had Facebook or Google Ads being possible, right now people use Google Ads or Facebook to target to an audience and sell digital products. Agar wo nahi tha, but you came up with a digital product, you may not have been able to target to a digital or to a global audience so easily, because you didn't have the distribution system. So a product has to fit in the market that is there. The demands have to be met. Okay. Now there are some things you will need to do pretty soon. So what is the checklist for an international launch? So you'll have to think of...
people think of going to another country is like incorporating in that country. That is not the point. There are multiple issues. So for example, there was a huge question that if we have the name is 𝗨𝗂 𝗂𝗀𝗏. This is a brand that we have created keeping India in mind. Now, if we want to launch in Dubai, can we call it this? I don't know. Doesn't sound like that, right? It has to be a different name, because the local people or in that market, people may not identify it with this brand, at all. So this is a factor. These things have to be thought of. Also, product has to be local. That has to be also thought of. Now, next, Abhijit.
A local domain name will need to be blocked. You can think of a country level domain name. You can, so.
And the problem is that if you don't buy it, somebody else will buy it and can exploit it. And your competitors can buy it and it cause problems. So you definitely want to buy a local domain name, even if you are doing business from India. Next.
You will want to register your IP in that country, whether it is trademark or patents.
Imagine that you're going to do business in Singapore or Dubai or USA or China, and somebody else owns the trademark that you're going to sell, right? Okay, what will be the situation? It will be very bad, right? People, if they realize that you are selling in that country and you don't have trademark registered, they can go and register the trademark. If patent is not there, they can violate your patent. Big problems can happen, right? So whether you register a company or not, you have to at least register your IP.
You will need to figure out tax laws. You will need to figure out import-export duties. So these trigger in at different points in time. If you are exporting goods and services, import-export duties become important. The tax laws there could be a VAT angle, there could be or a GST angle, depending on what regime that country follows. There would be income tax, corporate tax, all of that. And tax would be for directors, it would be separate. For the company, it would be separate. So you need to figure that out and then choose okay, what my costing will be. Then how are you going to accept payments and where will it be received? So suppose I have, you have an Indian entity, you have a Dubai entity, and you're selling goods, you're selling products internationally. Now, do you want the money to be received by the Dubai entity and kept there? Will the Dubai entity take the money and keep it there, or will it later give it to the Indian entity? Or do you want the Indian entity to collect the money and then pay a commission to the Dubai entity? Which is the best structure to have? Okay, that is going to be a question. Okay, and a lot of this can also be determined by the local payment gateway related framework in that country for digital payments. Okay, you will also take into account the foreign exchange laws. You will also take into account the tax implications. So three things will be taken into account for this purpose. Are you going to incorporate locally, and at what point will it be necessary? So what is the point, Ramanuj? Any insights on that where it will be important? Have you thought of some criteria?
Yeah, correct. So, it will multiple scenarios are there. We're going to discuss also in today's session also. For example, let's say you are just giving an example, right? So let's say you are, you will be paying. So if you are selling goods from India, you will be subject to Indian income tax, even if you have zero rated GST. By the way, it might be it may not be. Even if you are selling the service over there, you may not be considered to be doing export of services. So you have to check that. But if you are doing export of services and you don't have to, it's like something which is you will still be paying income tax in India. Now imagine that you are doing business in Dubai, but you are paying taxes from India. You might decide that it is better to do it in Dubai itself, because in Dubai there is no income tax. So your capital will be preserved, right? Or you may decide that in Singapore they are charging me 10% income tax, so I should incorporate in Singapore rather than in India. So this becomes very important, right? Because it is not in the interest of your business that you are serving the Dubai market, but you are paying income tax in India. Does that make any sense to you? Right? So there may be a logic and it may be much more tax efficient. Okay, so to move to a different country and operate there, or operate a international headquarter there, or operate a local subsidiary there, or can be as a group company operating in another country.
So Piyush asked an interesting question on what will be the potential hurdles while selling online products. So some of the things I can think of offhand.
Yeah, also in many countries, by the way, to run an e-commerce business, the laws say that you have to register there before you can do.
You will have to
So to
register
have a
there.
very meaningful scale, to have any meaningful scale, you have to set it up there. You don't have any option. Go ahead, Abhijit.
Then they have separate requirements if you are collecting payments there. So you have to see all of that. Okay. 1 second.
By the way, there are a lot of people doing physical businesses like, QSR, quick service restaurants. Indian QSR chains have gone abroad. Many of them, right? It's a very common thing for Indian QSR chains to successfully set up abroad. And QSR, you understand, like quick service restaurant, right? Wow Momo, Dosa Palace. There are many examples. Cafe Coffee Day, right? So for them, it makes a lot of sense to incorporate right from the beginning, right? Because they are physical businesses. Hospital, schools, universities. There are Indian, Manipal. They all have Dubai campuses. Some of them have even Singapore campuses, right? So many Indian universities, Amity, they all have Middle East campuses. So many people are expanding out of India, and there are a lot of physical businesses. They need to be there in physically. Hospitals, right? Indian hospital chains have started expanding outside India. Work hard and so many others. Yeah, Apollo, Clinicals.
Then for e-commerce, pharmaceuticals, import-export rules are going to be of critical importance. For pharma, you may have local pharma regulators who will be involved. So you want to sell pharmaceuticals. So for example, the US FDA has office in India because Indian drug manufacturers export to the US and they want to be able to check the facility so that it's in compliance with US framework. Okay, this, so like that you are going to look at key what is the import export rules. Okay, import export rules can be in terms of duties, they could be in terms of labeling requirements, like a country of origin labeling requirement, which was introduced, for example, by India when they said that every product that is imported must have a country of origin marked. Last year that happened. Okay, then there can be other requirements where a local regulator is involved. Okay, then there can be import export like complete block also, prohibition on certain items being imported or exported or certain permissions being required. Then you'll have to look at this. Then are there any sector specific regulations that will apply to you? Okay, if you, let's say, collect payments in Nepal or Philippines, they have a payments directive that determines that. In every sector there will be other sector specific regulations which you'll have to figure out from before, and you don't need to like brief a local lawyer there. You can pull it out in India, from India itself, provided you know how to do that. Okay, then for manufacturing projects and energy, you will need to look into property laws because you will have to acquire land, right? You will need to get into contracts for construction. There may be EPC contracts. You'll have to look at property laws. You'll have to also look at the tax laws there. Okay, and you'll have to look at contracts. You'll have to see if there are sectoral regulators for each of these. Then there will be rules regarding employment of people. This will be very important. Like you are employing white blue collar laborers. What is the laws for unionism? What is the laws for contracting out work, for employment of this? Yeah, so all these categories will be very important for firing and hiring. For firing, what are the rules? Okay, like in EU, for example, mergers, certain categories of mergers require approval from labor unions also. Okay, that rule is not there in India. So that kind of thing, you will have to be aware of that kind of legal requirements. Then is your IP going to be safe? So now one thing is that, okay, I registered my IP there. But second aspect is that, will I be able to enforce it if there is a violation? Okay, that is the biggest question there. Like for a long time, China was facing the criticism that their IP is not being enforced. International IP of foreign entities is not being enforced there easily. Okay, how easy or difficult is it going to be to enforce a contract? If there's a breach, would you be able to either go to local courts? Usually people want to do international commercial arbitration. So if you do an international commercial arbitration, will you be able to enforce it in local courts? Those of you who have been following the discussion on international commercial arbitration in India, you will see that how every time the Supreme Court gave a decision, the criticism was this, that our foreign investors or our foreign entities who do business in India, will they rely on Indian legal system to be safe to do business in? Okay, so it was never a question of just dispute resolution, but about doing business in India. Okay, so the question is this: you set up an international commercial arbitration, no problem. But if when the award comes, will it be properly enforced by the local courts over there? Okay, and then if there's a breach of, let's say, payments not happening in time, can you go to the local court system? If the criminal remedy needs to be invoked, you never know. Is the system, can you invoke the system there effectively or not? What are the FDI rules saying that? Do you need a local partner when you incorporate a company or you start another kind of business entity? What are the rules on repatriation of profits? Is 100% of the profit made repatriable? Are there conditions key, or you can only repatriate a portion of the profits? Do you need any clearance from a local regulator for this, from the central bank of that country, for example? Okay, from the banking regulator, basically. Who will be your key employees? This is something you will have to decide beforehand. What contract do you have to enter into with them? So, what kind of employment contract clauses will you have? Will you give them ESOPs? Will you give them ESOPs of the foreign company, or will you give them ESOPs as stock options? Okay, let me know if you all are following. If you all are not following, you have some questions, just drop in your question here. Will you give them ESOPs of the foreign entity? Will you give them ESOPs of the Indian entity? What will be better to give? How will you compute this? Does the local law over there allow you to give ESOPs to employees over there from of the Indian company? Will you send people from India into the foreign company? Then you will need to look at immigration requirements in the country abroad. Or will you hire locally? All these things you will have to figure out. Sometimes there may be rules that foreign companies have to employ a certain number of local people. Okay, so those things you will have to identify. What are the rules for corporate governance that you will need to follow? How will basically business decision making need to happen? Which decisions will need to be recorded, and how will relevant consents be obtained? What books need to be kept? What filings need to be done? Okay, all of that. Like in India, you know that there is a related party transactions framework. You have to have AGMs, you have to have board meetings, there are annual reports. So what are the rules in that country for such kind of activity? Okay, do you need like a company secretary or corporate secretary over there who's licensed there to practice, to sign your statement, to sign all of these annual reports? Who are the key vendors? What contracts will you enter in with them? Okay, this is something you will have to decide. Suppose in India you follow a particular format for contract, you may give, let's say, a certain kind of commission. Okay, abroad you may realize that the regulator says no, commission agreements are not okay. Or you may realize that vendors over there don't work like that. For example, if you are in let's say in the financial services industry, and you go into Dubai, over there it may be that you cannot offer products the same way or in every part of Dubai in the same way that you do in India, because Islamic finance rules are applicable there. The way banking business is done is very different. Okay, so you will have to figure those kind of rules out. What other key contracts will be in place? What will you be licensing your IP? Will you have distributorship arrangements? Will you have affiliate agreements for local distributors to sell? Will you have any other international agreements? Like you may want to, let's say, have Dubai or Singapore as the headquarters for other countries also, not just selling in Singapore, but the whole of the Southeast Asia market. Okay, so then how will you do business from there like that? Which contracts you will need to enter into? How will the disputes be settled? So you'll have to decide that you can't have a different arbitration clause or have ad hoc arbitration every time. That every time you have a dispute, you suddenly get stuck because you have to. If you do the regular domestic arbitration like you have in India, they say that all disputes will be settled by arbitration. How many of you are aware of this regular clause? Okay, all disputes will be settled by arbitration in accordance with the Arbitration Conciliation Act. If you write a clause like that in every country, you will realize that you are suddenly at the effect of local arbitration law by default. So what do parties do? They choose an arbitration institution. Tell me if you all are following this. Okay, please say yes if you're following. Please say no if you're not following. Please write S if you want me to slow down. Okay. So what most parties do is they nominate an arbitral institution like Hong Kong International Arbitration Center, Singapore International Arbitration Center, and they have a standard clause which they incorporate in all the contracts, so that minimum chances of deviation is there irrespective of which contract has that dispute. So then what happens, there is a standard procedure for invoking arbitration and enforcing it. Okay, and a big, like when the business is expanding internationally, you'll have hundreds of contracts like that. So you will need to have a, like an SOP, a standard operating procedure for enforcing, for invoking arbitration, and for the whole process till the enforcement stage. Okay, then you'll have to also predict that, what will be the cost and timeline that is happening. So then you'll have to, based on cost, decide that which disputes I may not take to arbitration, I may do pre-arbitration mediation and just settle it, which disputes I need to escalate to the arbitral institution and continue to fight out. Okay, and then you'll have to see that in some countries sometimes you'll find out that local courts are frequently overturning awards of international commercial arbitral institutions. Then you'll have to figure that out, that, is it uncertain to rely on international commercial arbitration? In that case, should we have an alternative mechanism? Sometimes this might make it difficult for you to do business in that country. Maybe you'll realize then that, okay, I should actually take a security deposit so that I have no risk of my money being taken away, or some bank guarantee should be there. Various varieties are there. Okay, so let's move on. What are the liabilities of directors? This is going to be very, very important, because you will want to hire top executives in that country or from India. So you want to know that, what is the risk that they have, because that's what somebody will want, that's what the director will think of when they are going abroad. Suppose you want to put your top Indian person in Dubai for heading the country. Okay, now they will need to know, okay, what is the legal framework like? How, if things go wrong, then what can my liability under the law be? Civil also, criminal also, right? And the criminal legal system of different countries can widely differ, right? So that is something you will need to have prepared a handbook on beforehand. Okay, how does consumer rights work? What is the product liability doctrine there? So you understand what a B2C business is. B2C customers means that you are a business and you're dealing with individual customers. Okay, so in these cases you will have something called product liability or consumer protection law in place in that country. So you want to see that, what kind of system exists over there for this purpose. Okay, like you have the Indian consumer protection law, you may have some laws over there. Okay, how are you going to exit if things don't work? Okay, so what does this mean? You shut shop, you sell to somebody else. Who could the potential acquirers be? Or you do something like a US bankruptcy style thing, a chapter 8 or chapter 11. What do you do? In India you have the IBC, but there is IBC in India, where you voluntarily can also, the corporate debtor or the company doing business can approach approach for insolvency. But what is your plan going to be? In which sequence will you take these steps? Okay, what are the timelines going to be like? That's what you'll have to plan. Is it necessary or even a good idea to incorporate in another country before entering that market? Okay, this is going to be important. So now a lot of you have said that we will first sell there. If there is some traction, then we will get into it. Then we will set up office there. But what is the benefit of setting up office? In some cases, you may not need that kind of local presence, and in others, you will need. So you will have to decide based on that. Now, the thing is, are the considerations different for digital entrepreneurs versus those who are dealing with physical products? Okay, or like a QSR restaurant scenario, or a hotel or a hospital, right? Obviously, that's going to be yes, right? There's going to be a big difference. The way a digital product works is very different. For digital businesses, incorporating in the beginning may not be a great idea. You will only need to do it when it becomes necessary or makes sense from a tax perspective. Let's say you figure out that, okay, a lot of my customers are from the Southeast Asia region, and in Southeast Asia, so I need local presence also over there to target the audience properly. So I should have a company in Singapore. Also, I need to hire people over there, okay, or I can pay Indian people from Singapore, okay, and so I can house the money there, and the tax rates in Singapore are lesser than that of India. Okay, then I may want to incorporate over there because it gives me a cost advantage. Okay, that is what you will have to think of. In some cases this will be yes, in some cases the answer will be no. Several other things also have to be done. You will have to register IP irrespective in all the countries which are your major markets where you're selling the products or where you're intending to expand to. Then one of the questions you will deal with is this, that you have to hire lawyers and corporate secretaries or any other kind of professional service providers or third party services in order to enter new markets, right? But not right in the beginning unless you have a lot of cash. Eventually you will need to, when your business is growing, you'll have to do that. But when you don't have a lot of unlimited money at that time, you don't want to. You want to first stabilize there, have enough surplus money, then do that. Until then, what's going to happen? The Indian person, the Indian lawyer, if they can help out with the Indian CFO, the Indian business person will, the CEO, they will look at how to enter that country. That's where your role becomes very important. It's better to figure out your strategy and then go to lawyers and others for specific tasks, rather than, that will enable you to give them pointed questions which specifically pertain to that country's local law. Otherwise, you will give them open-ended wild goose chases that will run up your bill a lot. You will also not be in a position to take effective decisions. And what will happen is that a CEO will say that, "Arey, tumko nahi aata, you don't know it, how to do it." Okay, so because you will not be able to think from that perspective. So if you do that preparation beforehand and then you approach the lawyers over there, your even a business person in India, CEO, and entrepreneur will be very, very satisfied with that kind of an approach. Okay, we have a great solution for you as well as to how to go about it, but we'll get to that later on in a bit. But let's take an example first. Let's say someone is selling physical products online through a store. Okay, say it is coffee or tea or some electronics or fitness supplements. They're selling this in India and all their operations are in India, and they want to sell in Japan and it's a huge market and margins are good. This much they figured out. Okay, do they incorporate a company in Japan, or should they continue to sell in Japan from Indian entity itself and India itself and ship over there? What are the pros and cons of setting up a local operation in a new country versus exporting from India? Okay, how will you go about this process? So any guesses, any thoughts you want to share? How will you decide this? Should I incorporate in Japan or export from India? Japan is a great market. This is what the business entrepreneur has found out. Will I pay more tax in India if I bring all my income here? This is going to be one important question. Okay. It depends on whether the target market charges more or less income tax than in India. If Japan is going to charge less income tax, I will say, okay, let me have independent operation over there. I may also look at rent costs also. I'll get to that in a bit. In Japan, it is 23.6%. In India, it is 25% these days. Okay. Very big companies pay 30%. So some countries may have a different rate of taxation for foreign companies. So that has to be seen. Okay. For digital businesses, it makes great sense to be located in countries with low or zero income tax for this reason. Okay, that because they can then base their operations from there. What about consumption tax? It could be called a GST, it could be a VAT, or it could be by any other name. If you are exporting goods or services, you have to pay GST, but they are zero rated. Okay, so what happens then is that you can claim your refund or adjust it with other tax liability. Okay, this is what you have to look for. That can you get this kind of relief? Now, a domestic company, Indian company, buying goods from abroad and selling to another country, okay, will have to pay GST on such transactions if they are not, even if they are not entering India. Okay, that's what the Authority for Advanced Ruling has said. Authority for Advanced Ruling basically is an authority in India under GST law. Also, it's there separately under income tax law. They will give you advance ruling on particular transaction, that whether it's going to be taxable or not. So this is for GST. However, there are countries now which have low consumption tax or which don't apply such taxes like India is applying. They don't apply such taxes on digital services. In case of e-commerce, you'll have to look at one more thing: the shipping costs and the customs duty. Okay, I remember like buying products from eBay International, and I think Amazon US also have bought from. While it comes to India, that time they levy the customs duty. And how Amazon used to do it was they used to provision for it already. Okay, and they used to say this is going to be the estimate amount. Any balance that was there, they would charge me on the spot, or they would credit the excess amount. Okay, so this determines the business model. So initially when I order, they would say this is the approximate import duty that you have to pay in India. Now, e-commerce in most cases is not competitive unless it is located in that very area in which you want to operate, in that country where you want to operate, because margins can be thin. There are exceptions. It may make a lot of sense to be located in the country where you want to operate due to high shipping costs, if you're thinking of physical products being sold through e-commerce. Then there are cost arbitrage considerations. This is by far very big. Cost of labor is a big part of expenses in the digital economy. You look at the balance sheet of any company, and you will see that if it's a digital product company, then their biggest costs will be like tech, salaries. Okay, so Cost of labor is very important. Earlier, when if the company has offices, so tax, salaries, and rent, these become the biggest ones. Rent, salaries by far is the biggest. With remote work, it's now possible to engage talent now from any country in the world. You can get talent from other countries as well. So that means that you could have, people from India working for you, even if you have a market in the US. Okay, so you set up an entity there, but have people working from India. Except for the local part, which is the shipping part, you can do a lot of work from here. Now you can hire or engage individuals or agencies to do your work, okay, in India itself or in other low-cost countries. Where the management operates from, that matters in modern tax jurisprudence. That is how they will decide that which country's tax law applies. Not just the country in which you incorporate the company, but also where the management is operating from. That is important. So even if you register a company in Dubai, if the directors operate from India, Indian government will consider us an Indian business for tax purposes. Okay. Then you have to look at the competitive landscape. This is very important. So what are the markets that are easy to tap into and attractive for digital businesses? Let's compare a few countries, okay? So for digital businesses now, okay, not the physical businesses. UAE versus Singapore. So we're looking at Dubai, not all of UAE. We are looking at Dubai specifically in the UAE, okay? 100% ownership is possible in a company. So suppose you have an Indian company, you want to have a 100% owned company over there. So there are specific regions in Dubai which are called free trade zones. Okay, rest of Dubai you cannot have a 100% owned company. In a free trade zone you can have. Okay, free zone it is called. In the UAE there are more than 45 such free trade zones with many more in development. So in those you can look at setting up. But selecting the right FTZ is again then a question. So as you go deeper into the system, more questions emerge. Otherwise, if you're not into a FTZ, then you will need a local partner to set up the business with. Dubai differentiates between a local business, okay, and a foreign company, an offshore company. So an Indian entrepreneur going there would be creating an offshore company, okay. So you need to select the right.
Whether you create offshore company or not, that depends, right? So you might have, if you want to do business, if you want to use it as an offshore company, then you're not doing business in Dubai. You are only doing business outside Dubai, and you are using it as a holding company and so on. But if you are going to do business in Dubai, then you can't just set up a offshore company. You have to actually register as a local business. That is different. So you have to, that is why you have to pick the right structure. You will not set up an offshore company if you are going to do business in Dubai, right?
Did you all follow that? So there is if you set up a company, if you set up an offshore company, you will not be able to do business in Dubai at all. You will have to do all business outside. The Dubai company is just for, it's a holding company. Or it can get the profits, but no local business will happen. Okay. If you're doing local business, you need a local partner. So you'll have to decide which one you want to keep. We'll be in trouble if you select the wrong option.
You don't need a local partner. You can register a 100% owned company in a free trade zone, but it will not be an offshore company. It will be a different structure.
Got it.
Yeah, carry on.
A wrong option will mean that there can be liabilities on you, legal action can be taken against you, and business wise also you can be in trouble, like your profits, your cost may escalate, your profits may go down. Okay. So this is only for foreign businesses, right, Amanj? No personal income tax
for all businesses. There's no income tax
in FTZs.
Anywhere. There's for everyone. There's no income. There's no concept of income tax in Dubai.
Okay, and no withholding tax and no corporate tax. Better cash. This enables a company to have better cash flow. You can reinvest the tax money to grow the business. So it's like having, if you're comparing it with an Indian company, you always have earnings before interest, tax, and all of that. Tax itself is 25% to 30% effectively. So if you don't have that, you have 30% more to keep, which you can reinvest in business. Imagine how much more of a competitive advantage it gives you to have 30% extra cash in the business. VAT is 5% over there. Many services are exempt from VAT or are zero rated. So no
VAT was introduced recently. Okay, earlier it was completely tax free, but couple of years back they introduced VAT and only 5%. But it's a huge difference. In India it is 18%. There it is only 5%. So that's also a big factor. And many services can be exempt from VAT, like for example, education. So EduTech is also exempted. Education services are exempted. Any export you do from Dubai, direct or indirect, is also exempt.
No tax on education. All direct or indirect exports are zero rated. So we gave you that example, no, where in India you import from somewhere and then export, and the authority for advanced ruling said that you got to pay GST. But here the direct or indirect exports are all zero rated if you're in Dubai. It makes it a good headquarters for international operations. So you want to have global operations, you may want to consider having a holding company, international holding company in Dubai. Now let's see what Singapore is like. Okay. The highest corporate tax rate on taxable income is 17%. Again, much, much lower than India, right? Tax on capital gains and dividend income is 0%. So that's superb, right? In India, there is a good long-term capital gains now. There's short-term capital gains also. So Singapore has this much better than India. No withholding tax levied on post-tax dividends paid from Singapore. What does this mean? So if you are in India, in Singapore, there's a company which has made profit, paid at 17% income tax. Okay, after that, if it pays you dividend, there's no withholding tax on it. So it doesn't have to pay tax for your income by withholding it. Okay. In India, it is called TDS in the local context. You all are following this part? Say yes if you are following it. Okay. Then VAT in Singapore is fixed at 7%, and many goods and services are exempted again over there from GST. All foreign sourced income is tax exempt as long as the income has been subjected to tax in a country with a headline tax rate of at least 15%. So if you have a business in Singapore and let's say this income, the Singapore company has earned income from, let's say, Saudi Arabia. Okay, just taking an example. Now, if Saudi Arabia has a headline tax rate of at least 15%, then Singapore will say, no, you pay tax in Saudi Arabia, we will not tax it here. Okay. Now, that will depend on the double tax agreement network of Singapore. Singapore has DTAAs, or double tax avoidance agreements, with a whole host of countries across. Okay. So you'll have to see that, when you're setting up the operations, you'll have to think of the list of target markets, where you'll put the holding company. Then you will plan out ki kahan se kitna tax lagega, and then you will give it to the company's finance or CFO team, and you'll also tell the CEO that, and they'll incorporate this in their international business plans. Then you'll have to, there are smart immigration policies for entrepreneurs. This is important to study for every country. Any insights on this, Ramanuj, on the immigration policy?
Yeah, it's basically getting visa is very even Dubai, Singapore, all these places, getting business visa is very easy. They are not trying to keep you out, especially if you are starting a business. They don't want to keep you out of the country. They want you to come. Compared to that, if you want to start a business in USA, it will be much harder. Although you're investing money in that country, still a lot more paperwork. You can't apply online. There are many problems. But in case of, they have such rules that if you are an entrepreneur who has already, you are a second time entrepreneur in Singapore, you can get almost like work permit. You don't even have to invest. You can just get a work permit to come to Singapore and work. And these are very fast, very good processing, and like very friendly, because they are trying to attract the best talent in the world to come and work from their country. That's why they are doing these things, and they want businesses to come and set up there. Next, Abhijit.
Singapore is ranked second in the world and top in Asia for having the best IP protection in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report. So the thing is that these reports are actually telling you and giving you a sense of how easy or difficult it is to enforce IP in a foreign country. It has also tax treaties with over 70 countries, including India, that helps Indian companies avoid double taxation of their income. This is also the reason why Singapore is a popular place to structure investments into Indian companies from. Okay, quickly, I think it has replaced Mauritius as the preferred source country. There are practically no restrictions on capital movement into or out of Singapore. In comparison, in India, there are some restrictions. Okay, you have a lot of 𝗵𝗵 and FDI policy and all of that. So that is virtually not there in Singapore. Entire procedure of transferring property in Singapore is online. So this makes it very convenient to do business there. in comparison to, let's say, in India, where you'll have to do property diligence, you'll have to look at 7/12 or other kinds of ownership extracts, rights, a chain of title, okay, and do all of those property searches. That's not there.
Even then, people get into disputes over whether ownership. I mean, all these things not being there, it makes business that much easier. Okay, next.
Enforcing contracts is extremely easy. There is an electronic litigation system which streamlines court proceedings. Employment landscape is pro-employer. Compliance is easy and mostly online, and to that, labor disputes between unions and employees are relatively rare in Singapore. Then let's look at China. Yes, you were adding something here? I'll just reload to check.
Yeah, just preload.
Okay.
Slides.
So Yash has compiled the insights from China also for us. Stay tuned.
Are the slides updated?
Should be.
All right, I'll cover it very briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think the slide seems to be updated. So basically, see, China again is one of the highest recipient of foreign investment in Asia. In 2020, it was the largest recipient in the world. This was driven by a very high demand, but doing business is still very difficult in China. For instance, if you talk about contract enforcement. So when companies go for litigation, after a certain points, you will see government will regularly interfere in the outcomes. There's no separation of judiciary that's there like in India and other countries. Then we all know that it is notorious for IP enforcement. It is extremely difficult to own a property because property is again not privately owned. There's no concept of private ownership of property in China. All lands
except for in the free zones, the system is slightly different.
Yeah, except so mostly it is very difficult again to buy a property of your choice. Then things like entering into China, you need to have a local partner. Now, the selection of local partners is not governed that you can choose on the basis of merit that this company is doing really well. Most of the time, there's extremely interference, and this is governed by political considerations, and local partners are thrust upon foreign corporations. So again, this is a very difficult regulatory environment than what we have discussed.
Correct, but this is the keeping in mind that still people find it so good to do business in China because of economic reasons.
Yeah,
right?
because of economic reasons, because there's high growth and demand. It is one of the highest market for luxury goods.
Right, and it is also the manufacturing. It's a very important manufacturing place, and
hub.
it is also the fastest growing consumer market.
Yeah.
Right, so if you're trying to sell any consumer goods and you are not doing it in China, then it is a big problem.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you have all these kind of problems. Why are you not running the slides? We follow the slides now.
Yeah, the China slides were not updated.
Oh, slides are not there only.
It's put, but it wasn't added. Why founders and senior startup executives need to learn these things? Ramanuj, you want to say this? Why do founders and senior startup executives need to learn about these things?
Sure. Are there slides, or is this the only sentence that is written?
No, there are no slides on
There's
this.
no slides. Okay. So I will explain. So see, it's a very simple thing. Like, you might think that, why I will just go to a lawyer and the lawyer will tell me all these things. And lawyers should obviously be knowing these things as well. Lawyers have their own reasons to learn these things. But from my point of view, founders and senior startup executives are the people who are planning. And you cannot make these plans unless you have this knowledge. I think it is very critical. And I mean, what we have touched today is, in a way, very, I mean, it's just a beginning to understand the opportunities and how it works. And there is a lot more that you need to understand. And if you are, you being the founder, if you understand these things, you can really plan these things much better. You will be able to choose the right options, you'll be able to, and most of the time people are not able to do international expansion because they really don't know what it looks like. They don't know their options. They cannot even imagine. It is only when you have some plan in place that you go and you talk to lawyers and you ask them for their advice, or you ask a corporate secretary for their advice. So this is why I think founders and executives really need to learn uh, these kind of market entry and international expansion related things. Next, Abhijit. And same thing, I think it is pretty obvious why lawyers and law students need to learn this, because there is a huge surge in this kind of work as Indian companies are going abroad. Earlier, the work that was there was foreign companies coming to India, and this was very lucrative work for Indian lawyers. But now you have another very big segment which is going to be huge in the coming years. That is Indian companies going abroad, going international, and they need support, right? So lawyers and law students who are learning this work can benefit in their career for simple.
And to add to that, there's a huge market for paralegal work internationally for startups that need handholding, that need walkthrough. So there's a lot of advisory work that law students can start if they start early.
Yeah, like research work. I won't say they're
Yeah.
going to advise, but you can do research.
Research work.
You can, basically, help to create the plans. You can assist, in creating those playbooks as to what you're going to do, how you're going to do, creating the compliance plans, identifying regulations. It's basically, there's a whole lot of work, even internationally, that you can do, not only for Indian companies. Yeah. Next.
What kind of work opportunities exist in
Work
this area?
opportunities, you can work for law firms, you can work as in-house counsels in companies which are going abroad or has already done international expansion, going to do more international expansion. The thing about a company which has done some international expansion is likely that they'll keep doing more of it. It's not like that they will stop doing it. They'll enter new markets every year. And for that, you get to do more and more work. So that is the biggest opportunity. And as in-house counsel, as well as law firms, as well as advisors, such work can be done. Next. Okay, so we have a course basically where we are teaching international business law and how to do international expansion and how to evaluate these markets. And we're going to tell you about that course. Abhyuday, go ahead, or maybe
Yeah.
Yash also you can explain.
Okay, so this is a 6 months diploma course in international business laws with Webster University,
It's
covering
a
both.
course, not a diploma course. Is it a diploma course or a diploma course? Okay.
It's a diploma
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
It's a diploma course.
Covering both the legal and business aspects needed to advise on entering foreign markets and doing business there. So I'll tell you which countries also we will cover. Um,
Yeah, we'll come to that in next few slides.
Okay, you have it. So, 1 second. The course will start with a 2-week induction module for learners from non-law background, covering basics of the legal system across the world. As we said, this is useful not just for lawyers and law students, but also startup founders, business owners, people who are doing MBA, people who want to help, like CFOs or others who want to help a company with international expansion. Okay, so there's a 2-week induction module for them to get up to speed with the basics of legal system across the world. It's designed for lawyers, management consultants, other professionals who want to help companies with increasing their presence across the globe. We'll be covering the following countries, okay? Legal and business aspects of doing business in 7 emerging markets: India, China, UK, US, Middle East, Japan, and Brazil. Okay, 7 markets are going to be covered. We'll teach you everything you need to know about, how to advise MNCs on this aspect of business expansion and market entry abroad. The legal aspects, contract enforcement, the tax aspects. Okay, the topics we discussed right now.
And not just that, if you are working for
Yeah.
an MNC as a legal counsel, then all the work that you do on daily basis, drafting contracts and everything, we cover that work as well in a lot of detail in this course.
Okay, so drafting important business contracts is covered. In a short while, I'll take you through the course page also so you can see what's going to be covered. Different ways of dispute resolution internationally, how international commercial arbitration will work, and this kind of work is not covered in India. Okay, like you look out in the market for international commercial arbitration, very few lawyers do international commercial arbitration in all of India. That too, they are only focusing on the Indian aspect. We will be looking at it from a full-blown 360-degree global perspective with respect to these 7 jurisdictions. Okay, so international commercial arbitration, other dispute resolution aspects like contract enforcement, money recovery, international IP enforcement, international tax and transfer pricing. We've been saying so many times that tax considerations are very important. So what are those tax considerations? How do you figure those out? That's going to be covered for all these 7 countries. Then a little bit about Webster University. We'll just tell you. Should I just take them through the page also, so
Or
that
you can just
they
cover
can find
this,
out?
cover these 4 slides about Webster
Yeah,
University.
show the Wikipedia web page now of the university.
Also course page I want to show.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so this is from Webster University's Geneva campus. Webster University is a private university with its main campus in Missouri, US. It has multiple branches across the US, across US and Europe and Asia. Okay, then in 2019, okay, they have an alumni network of 170,000 graduates worldwide. They are teaching in liberal arts, teacher education, business, and management. Okay.
It is a highly, you can go through, you can share the link. It is a highly respected US university, and
In fact,
we are collaborating with mostly with the campus in Geneva, right? So there will be in this course, basically it's a truly global course. Imagine you'll have professors sitting in Switzerland teaching you. We will have people from India teaching you, people from China teaching you, and like really I would say a very unusual experience where you are getting to learn like this. See, I'll tell you why we created a course like this. We realized that there is a huge lucrative market of international business work. International market expansion, international entry is very attractive. So when we are asking why these people from China or Australia or UK or US are doing our courses, they were saying that, you know, we need to learn this international part, how to do this business internationally, because we are expanding internationally. Our companies, our clients are actually expanding internationally, but there are no courses where this thing is taught, how to do this right. There is no course actually for any, neither it is taught in MBAs, in any MBA, or it is not taught in any legal course, nowhere. So for the first time, we have created people just learn of one country, and then they say, okay, if you need advice, you go to the lawyer of the other country, right? And this is a big problem. This does not solve the, you need somebody who can make sense of all these different jurisdictions and guide the entrepreneur, guide the businessman. So for the first time in the world, we created a course like this, where we are actually teaching you all these different countries and laws and actual international business law, right? People say international business law, but they don't teach any international. Actually, there is no international law. You can't, learning international law is what? You can't learn treaties between countries. That will not help. You need to learn the local municipal laws of different countries where you are going to expand. And this kind of course never existed. Nobody dared to create a course like this. But by collaborating in this manner, we have been able to create a course like this. So Mahalingam is asking, what about covering countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam? We are not able to cover all of them, but we will be adding. Singapore will definitely add. Singapore is on the cards.
Singapore is there. Yeah.
Singapore is there, already there. And Hong Kong also will cover to an extent. But, you know, we are not able to, US is covered, right? Delaware will be covered. We will not be able to cover all the countries. Like I want to cover at least 20 countries, but we realize that we cannot teach all of that in 6 months. but as and when we'll be adding more chapters, okay, we'll give you access to at least the 10 most important economies outside what we have mentioned here. Over time we'll create and you will get access to it also, so don't worry about that. But these are the most choices, the most interesting economies in any case, so that is not a problem. Right, go ahead, Abhyuday,
So
go ahead.
I'll show you the aspects that you will learn. Okay, you will learn about the different legal systems across the world,
Yes,
international.
please share the link with everyone in YouTube as well as here, and share the Wikipedia page link as well
Yeah,
in
Can
both
you
places, here as well as
we
here.
have
on
already shared the link to the course and Wikipedia page here, doing that on YouTube.
then
Do that and share
international?
here also one more time, please.
Okay, international conflict negotiation and resolution as well. Okay, so there'll be some exclusive chapters on negotiation, also on mediation and conciliation. Then advanced contract drafting is covered. International commercial arbitration. This is a very, very unique feature. This is not what you will study in international commercial arbitration in LLMs or in your law school in your elective if you're studying law. I can guarantee that because this is very, very ground level and practical from a business orientation. Okay, doing business with China, specific chapters on how to go about doing business in China, the legal system over there, IP, all of that. Okay, how to deal with the government, doing business in the United Kingdom. Okay, doing business in the United States of America. There are several chapters on that. We cover contract enforcement, IP, exchange control, employment, ownership of property, doing business in the Middle East, Japan, Brazil, international tax and transfer pricing. This is going to be very important for you because a lot of the work, a lot of the choice of destination and different the structure is influenced heavily by international tax and transfer pricing norms. And then how do you go about expanding into a foreign market? More content on that. How will you learn this? There will be I'll just explain. There will be one class of 2 hours every week. Okay, there is some explanation of Webster University. We've shared the link, so I'll skip this part. Okay, the placement record of Webster University, I didn't mention, is 98% placement. Who will be teaching you? There'll be Webster. So there will be 2 hours class every week. Okay, live class. You will get a recording of it if you missed the live class. There'll be Webster University faculty teaching you certain sections. Their names are also here. Dr. 𝗂𝗂 𝗂𝗂𝗂, Professor Negotiation and Business Consultant from Geneva campus of Webster University. Professor Dominique Joly, he is the chair of Walker School of Business Technology and Business Strategy Professor at Geneva campus, leading Indian and foreign faculty from offshore jurisdictions. So we will be also identifying faculty for teaching from abroad for each jurisdiction. Also, we will be having different faculty who can actually explain to you what the system of that jurisdiction is, along with Indian faculty. Okay, jurisdiction specific experts with practical exposure. How will you learn? So one class per week of 2 hours. Then you will get practical exercises in each class so that you can actually think of these questions. Like today, we asked you all these questions and you all had to think of it, right? So how do you do this in a practical scenario? How do you advise? How do you make these assessments? How do you answer those questions on tax, on structuring, on IP enforcement? All those scenario mapping, if this happens, then what? How do I enforce my contract? How do I do arbitration? All
You'll
that
have
will be given
actual
through practical
assignment, the kind
exercises.
of work that you are supposed to do if you are in a law firm, if you are anywhere, the actual work that you will be doing would be given to you and you'll have to do it, right? It's not just some advice, it's not just some thought process. You'll actually have to draft documents, you'll have to actually make plans, and so through simulation exercises. Okay, so exact
On
work
those,
that
you will get corrections.
yeah, go ahead, Abhi.
You will get corrections by evaluators on your submissions. Line by line corrections will be there. Placement assistance is included. So we will help you find internships, jobs, and client opportunities. Okay, from companies or firms who have this kind of need. Okay, and even if you want to work in India, you study this, but you say, okay, I want to do domestic work. We will help you with that. Okay, it's not key. Okay, you say I don't want to do this work right now, I want to just work in an Indian corporate law firm. We will help you with that as well. Okay, coaching for writing articles articles is included. So it is very important for you to, if you are looking for career opportunities, then it's very important that you have your own branding, your own profile, your expertise on those topics in which you want to build a career in. So for that, we will give you coaching on how to write those articles. We'll help you write and publish at least 6 articles. You're welcome to write more, but we will help you to get started with 6. Okay, of course you will have to do a lot of work to write that, but we will be available to train you, guide you where you're stuck. We'll give you topics, we'll help you with the structure. Who should be doing this course? Okay, there are obviously study materials for every topic that I just showed you online, so you will get those practical study materials as well. Yes, there are hard copies as well, right?
Yes.
Hard copy
Yes,
materials will also
yes,
be sent to
yes,
your
yes.
address. Okay, so who should be doing this course? Who should be considering doing it? Startup founders, very important, because if you want to expand internationally, think of high margin places. This kind of knowledge and insights will really help you in selecting the right places to expand to. Okay, and it will also enable you to accordingly raise capital to expand, and your decision making will get elevated to a different level. Business executives, CEOs, CFOs, this kind of insight is really important for them. MBAs and software professionals who want to specialize in such market entry work. Okay, strategy professionals, anybody who claims that who wants to build a next level of expertise in creating business strategy. Okay, you may already be doing a lot of strategy work, but you want to help with international expansion and market entry strategy, then this would be very helpful for you. Corporate lawyers, okay, you will, irrespective of your regular day-to-day work may be about India legal system, but these kind of insights will be extremely valuable. You will realize that a lot of times at senior positions, when you're advising a business in a law firm in India, in a law firm, you will look at, okay, what that business has been doing abroad. You will collaborate with international law firms whose partners and associates are working across India. Sometimes you even go through, like if you're working in areas like tax, you will go through the case law of the foreign jurisdiction also. Okay, that used to happen. That happens a lot with Indian lawyers. And if those who are not able to process all of that, they can't do this. And those who can, they have a huge competitive advantage. Lawyers who want to do foreign paralegal work and freelance work for US startups, this is extremely important then, because you will learn about the system there. Lawyers working for MNCs in legal department, any multinational company, if it's obviously it has presence in multiple countries right now, usually they are stuck with this, that they have local level counsels, but they don't have anybody who can advise them on across the globe strategy. And that's needed because they need to harmonize, they need to standardize operations across different countries. They want to be able to correlate things, they want to build processes, but lawyers are not able to help them often, because every lawyer says,
it is extremely expensive to go to lawyers again and again for everything, right? You need to have some, I mean, you just try going to a lawyer in Dubai or London, or how many countries will you go to? You can't just keep going to every country and asking people for legal advice. It will be extremely expensive. Like we are talking about tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. You will end up spending a few crores on legal advice if you have to continuously keep going to lawyers for everything.
Yeah, now
that is why you need in-house expertise.
Okay, now what is the course fee? How do you enroll in the course? Okay, let me explain to you the plan. Okay, the course fee is 73,000 rupees in Indian currency.
It is actually $1,000, which is 70,000 Indian rupees right now. Okay.
Then those who want to enroll, you can pay directly online on the course page, or you can avail of a loan. We have a collaboration with Bajaj Finance. You can avail of a loan through that method. The down payment in that case is 14,600, and you can pay 4,867 per month for 12 months. That's the EMI. It's under 5,000 rupees. We've tried our best to keep it very affordable, or as affordable as possible. There's a processing fee additionally of 1,200 rupees. Okay. Now, one thing I want to just say, okay, all the people who get placement benefits, okay, our recruitment office, okay, the placement cell has a collaboration with recruiters stating this, that even if you take interns, if the interns do well, and if you choose to continue their internships, pay them at least 5,000 rupees. Okay, if they don't do well, obviously you can discontinue the internship also. So, and we've had a lot of our students getting paid internships, and the minimum stipend is 5,000 rupees there. So, if you're earning even 5,000 rupees a month, it becomes possible for you to be able to pay this kind of EMI, okay, after making a one down payment, which is under 15,000, okay, and that enables you to get access to a foreign university, leading a good US university certification, okay, from their Geneva campus. Now, first 5 people to block their seat. Okay, we really value early action takers, right? And we want to help you with everything
Many of
possible.
you
Some of
keep
you may
telling me, Abhyuday, I just want to add something. Many of you keep saying that, I try to create my profile on uh, this thing, what do you call, on Upwork, Fiverr,
Upwork.
and they are not accepting my profile. Some people say that I have created profile, but nobody is giving me work, right? This is the problem. Somebody say that, what can I do? What work will I do? You have to have, number one, you have to have skills that are actually valuable. Number two, you need to have some kind of some kind of validation. So when a US university is giving you a certificate from and it is connected to Europe, you have that kind of credibility. You can always say that I have this certification. When you are applying, and people can see that you have learned this international business law, you have expertise on these kind of things. So there is a one, so you have to know, and second, people, you need to have a track record. You have to some proof of concept where people can trust you. Through this course you can get both. You get the knowledge as well as, see, as 𝗨𝗂, we offer a lot of courses without university certification also. Why did we tie up for a university certification here? Because we realized that when you are going to apply for freelance work abroad, or even if you are, it will help you a lot for those people who need a job or a freelance opportunity. Even as a startup founder, you realize that you have a high degree of possibility of failure. Your startup may even fail, or your business may fail, but then you will go, that you're going to go work in another company, right? You are, and at that point of time, this will be a huge advantage, that you have this, you can actually help companies to expand in other countries, right? How to guide, how to advise. This will be a very big advantage. And the fact that this is recognized by a university certificate will be a big advantage for you.
There is also a a refund policy. Yash, can you send the link of it to on
Next
chat?
slide, please.
Yeah.
And the first 5 people.
Okay, you can just refund policy, you just show now by going online and sharing the screen, you can show.
I'll just do that.
Basically, we have a simple policy. You have to use the course for you have to use the course for 1 month, attend all the classes in person, and you have to do all the assignments for 1 month. And we know that then you'll get tremendous value out of the course. But if you don't for any reason, then between the 30th and the 45th day, we give you an opportunity to receive a full refund. Okay. Otherwise, we'll not. If you don't do don't attend classes, if you don't do assignments, we'll not give you. But for the first 30 days, if you properly attend all classes, do all assignments, after that, if you're not happy and for any reason you want a refund, we give you a 15-day period, so that during that time you can get a full refund. After that, we will not get any refund. But you can understand that, when we announce this kind of a money back guarantee, my colleagues were very much against me for doing this. They said, why are you doing this? We will have, and we lose a lot of money, because we have already paid GST, for example, on such a thing. And then we are giving you a full refund. At least we should deduct whatever money we have lost in payment gateway charges, etc. No, we give you a full 100% refund. And my colleague said that, people will come and do the course, and then for 1.5 months they will read everything, and then they will take a refund. What will you do? I said that, look, I know that we are not, the value is not just reading material. It is not just attending a few classes. We are giving massive amount of value, and somebody who do the course, they'll realize that they can benefit a lot more by staying in the course. So I am confident, I am ready to take this chance. It is, once you do it for 30 days, you will realize that this is tremendous value, and you will not want to take a refund. Sometimes once in a while one person comes along and wants a refund, but our refund rates are like below 0.1%. So I'm not worried. Once you see the course, you will realize that you are benefiting so much from it that you will not want a refund. That is, anyway, risk is on us, the risk is not on you, right? Even if you don't like it, if you don't understand it, if you don't find it relevant, you can get a refund by following the refund policy. Continue, Abhi.
There's one more exciting offer for the first 5 people who block their seat today before before midnight. They will get complimentary access to our complete 1-year diploma in business laws for in-house counsels, which is priced at 30,000 rupees. So everything in that course, for including classes, study materials, evaluations, all of that. Okay, what do you get to learn in that course? You will learn all the work performed by in-house counsels working for Indian companies. You can learn what's the right time to expand into a foreign market. No, this is mixed up again. Okay, the sequence is missed. 1 second. Yeah, so this is what you will learn in the diploma in business laws for in-house counsels. You learn how to select an optimal business structure, corporate governance and compliance requirements. You will understand how to protect and enforce IP of a company with respect to Indian law. Okay, legal requirements for multiple sectors are covered: real estate, manufacturing, SME and industry, MSME industry, IT services, insurance, financial sector. You will learn drafting of approximately 15 to 20 important business contracts, how to raise investment, how to
The
draft
point is not this, Abhi. Please don't go into the details of this. See, the point of this course, you understand that you want to learn. We thought that let us also complement this with by giving you some resources. It's like, think of it like a library where you will get access to what is done in India as well, apart from doing international business law. If it is for lawyers, it will be relevant. I don't think it will be so much relevant for entrepreneurs, but you'll at least be able to have this resource library. You'll get all the contracts, you'll get all the documents. If you ever need, you'll be able to refer to it and understand. And of course, you can learn. If you like to learn, you can attend classes and do the assignments and learn.
We've had Indian entrepreneurs take it up to scale their startups on and off. We've had.
It is a good advantage, right?
Yeah, and
So,
for lawyers and law students, you can use these skills for working with startups in India. You can work with law firms. You can obtain retainerships from companies if you decide to litigate, because you will know that much of business law. You can also get to do paralegal and legal advisory work with international clients, because you combine the foreign law part and the Indian law part, and help them expand their business either in foreign market or in Indian market. Then you will not have that issue at all. Okay. Then first and second year students also, if there are any first and second year law students, you will not have to struggle. You can start learning as basics are also taught. Okay, and you can study this course. So how will you sequence your studies? If that is the question, you can avail of the complimentary course in any time in the next 2 years. Okay, do you want me to show you the business law course for in-house counsels?
no.
Okay, so then I'll also show you how to block your seat if you're interested. Okay, so the link is 𝘂𝑐𝑂.com/offers. Abhishek will share it on chat. So how to block your seat? You can pay 7,000 today, only 7,000 to block your seat for this offer, which is available only to the first 5 students. Okay, and the balance payment can be made later. Our team will get in touch with you for that. Okay, so once so those of you who are interested can go on this link right now and pay your booking fee to block your seat. This link goes down as soon as the first 5 people pay, and it goes down tonight. Okay, 10 seats are available. This is my mistake. There are 10 seats available for this. Okay. Now, if you want to be notified about other workshops and webinars that we are conducting on international business law and market entry and expansion, then join the WhatsApp group on the link on chat. So I'm just sharing the link on chat. So on this WhatsApp group, you can join it. and you will get updates on the different webinars that we are conducting on international business expansion and market entry. All right, Ramanuj, anything you would like to say?
There are only 10 seats, so whoever enrolls first will get it. How many seats are left right now, Abhishek? Can you check and tell us? So people are enrolling already, right? And if you want to enroll, somebody said, please take my name. Please reach out to Ashok. Please, someone share your number. Share Uzair's number here. You can reach out to Uzair if you have any questions. You may have many queries, right? That whether it will be specifically helpful for me. Mahalingam has been asking. Mahalingam has asked that, is it relevant for me? So you have to check properly how many you have a chat and we'll be able to guide you. I think definitely Mahalingam sir is asking whether it will be helpful for me. I'm already 51 years old, right? You are definitely, it will be useful. Don't see any reason. If you have intention of working with international companies, you want international companies as your client, you want some foreign clients, it is absolutely possible. And it is a great idea with someone like with your experience. I mean, I think you have a lot of opportunity in that front. But talk to Uzair. Uzair's number we have shared. You can call and have a chat with him if needed. Like we said, there are right now, Abhishek has said there are 8 seats only left. Okay, so go ahead. All the best, everyone. I don't have anything else to add.
All right, are there any questions that anybody has? No, none. If you all have any questions, you can ask them now.
Yeah, we have a workshop again, so please do come. When is the course commencing? The course is starting from 1st of March. Course is commencing from 1st of March. Okay.
6 months, Pankaj.
It's a 6 months course.
August. End of August it will end.
All right.
Okay, thank you everybody. If you have any questions, you need any support, please reach out to Uzair, or you can, that would be the best way. Okay, so thank you everybody, and join the chat group. Keep watching our updates. Have a great evening and a great weekend. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.